I am not alone. We are joined with Otis Sanford, our political analyst here at ABC24. Otis, you and I were listening to the same press conference. What's your initial reaction to this?
Yvonne, this was a scathing report that was released by the Justice Department. It has put the Memphis Police Department on notice that the Justice Department expects not just minor changes, cosmetic changes, but wholesale changes. Basically, what they're talking about here is you got to change the culture of the Memphis Police Department, because the culture right now, and this does not involve everyone who is a police officer, but the culture is to escalate encounters with citizens, to mistreat people, as you said, with mental disabilities, to mistreat young people, some as young as preteens. And so this is a major report in terms of putting the police department on notice that the Justice Department expects some systemic changes to policing in the city.
That's right. And really, we're waiting in the wings right now for the city of Memphis to have their press conference. Well, we will bring that to you live here on air as well.
Right.
But we also have a few statements that came in less than 2 hours ago.
Right.
Let's start with the first one from Interim Police Chief C.J. Davis.
Right.
And it says, since the announcement of the DOJ's pattern and practice investigation on July 27th of 2023, the city of Memphis and the Memphis Police Department have fully cooperated with the inquiry, which the DOJ did confirm. We have granted investigators access to interviews, ride-alongs, our data, policies, procedures, and body-worn camera footage. However, the DOJ's investigation has been largely conducted with little transparency regarding their findings. And we have not been privy to the identities of those who were interviewed, nor have we had access to the data analysis that underpins their findings. What do you make of this first one, Otis?
Well, there's a lot to unpack right there, Yvonne. First of all, you know, as Chief Davis talks about the lack of transparency by the Justice Department. Well, there are some people in this community who would say that the police department has not been fully transparent. Now, that wasn't the case as much with the Tyree Nichols murder. The police department was very transparent there early on in releasing the body cam video and dismissing the officers and going public with their beliefs that this was a violation, a criminal violation. But there are some transparency issues within the police department itself. Secondly, it's not unusual for the Justice Department to not share the full details of its findings with the city of Memphis and the police department before releasing it. I mean, that's sort of like a reporter sharing their story with a person before you air the story. You just don't do that. But they did, as I think Kristen Clark, who is the Assistant Attorney General here, they did say that they shared an overview of what their findings would be with the city. So that might not be completely accurate there where Chief Davis is concerned. The bottom line here is that the Memphis Police Department will have its opportunity to respond to this. The mayor will have his opportunity to respond. We have a letter from him as well. And so we'll just see what they have to say, but this is a scathing report and you can't get around that.
Yeah, what we heard today was definitely disheartening to know that that is what they found. Let's take a look at that report and that statement from Memphis Mayor Paul Young. It says, on the evening of December 4th, the United States Department of Justice released the findings of its investigation into our city's police department. The report is going to be difficult to read. Our hearts go out to any person who has been mistreated by the police. That should absolutely never happen anywhere. While we fully support ongoing police improvement, we do not think it is wise to immediately enter into any agreement in principle or consent decree at this time. What do you make of this one, Otis?
Well, first of all, the fact that the mayor said it's going to be difficult to read tells us that they did know a little bit about what was going to happen. So the lack of transparency was not quite there completely. And so that's the first thing. The second thing, I'm not surprised that the city of Memphis at this time is not entering into a consent decree. That it's too early for that right now. There has not been any federal litigation filed by the Justice Department yet. You got to go through that process. So I'm certainly not surprised that he would say, and Chief Davis would say, hey, look, we're not going to agree to anything now. We need to review the findings. We need to and take some steps ourselves to continue to make some changes. So I'm not surprised by that. Again, I want to hear what they have to say now that the full details of this 17-month investigation, I think it's like a 70-page or so report. I want to hear what the mayor has to say about it because, frankly, he inherited this. He was just sworn into office back in January of this year. And so all of this happened, especially the beginning of it, the Tyree Nichols murder, the launch of the investigation, all of that happened before the mayor took office. So, he inherited a bad situation here, and we'll see how he responds to it. We'll see how Chief Davis responds to it. But frankly, I want to see how the public responds to it as well in the coming days. And, Yvonne, the Justice Department made a huge issue here over the pretextual traffic stops. And that has been a huge issue in this community, as you well know, because the city council tried to pass some ordinances that would prevent these pretextual traffic stops in light of the Tyree Nichols murder. But the state legislature jumped in and said, no, you can't tie the hands of the police. They need to be free to stop anybody because that cuts down on crime. Justice Department says there's no evidence that it does that. So I'll be interested to see also what the state legislators have to say about this report as well.
Yeah, agreed. There's still a lot up in the air, a lot to discuss,
Yeah.
and a lot to figure out.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to ask you too, the city of Memphis believes that this was rushed. They released that statement yesterday. 17 months to do this investigation, and they were saying that it takes 2 to 3 years, or it did in some other cases. What do you think?
Well, in some respects, they're probably correct. I've been around here a long time, and of course, this is not the first time that the Memphis Police Department has been in the lenses of the Justice Department. Matter of fact, there was a consent decree that was entered back in 1978, and I'm showing my age here because I covered that case as a reporter. So that part might be true, and it might also be true, Yvonne. And the first question that was asked at the press conference had to do with this. Were you trying to get this report out before the new administration comes in?
Yes.
I'm talking about the Donald Trump administration. There may be some truth to that because all indications are that the next Justice Department is not going to be as aggressive as this administration has been in looking into the patterns and practices of city police departments. I don't know that that's totally true, but that's the perception here. Even though the acting U.S. Attorney, Ms. Fondren, said the career Justice Department people are going to continue to do this. Well, with a new administration, I'm not totally sure of that. So that might have been a little bit of a rush here, but 17 months with the exhaustive investigation, a lot of people that they had involved in the investigation, I don't think that that's too rushed in my mind.
Yes. But going back to what you said about the incoming Trump administration, it's not beyond the realm of possibility to think that things could change. In Trump's first term, if you remember, he did cut back on the use of consent decrees. Right. So who knows if he will have that same mindset going into the next 4 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that might play in the city's favor here, even though, the city of Memphis, by and large, in terms of the voters, they were not Trump voters. But it's not unreasonable to believe that the next Justice Department will probably just put this investigation and the findings on a shelf somewhere and not pursue it. Certainly not pursue it in a federal court where a consent decree, if there is to be a consent decree, it would have to come out of a litigation in federal court. And so I would not be surprised to see that the next Justice Department just sort of puts this on the back burner. That should not put efforts to reform the culture of the Memphis Police Department, though, on the back burner. And if we are to believe what Chief Davis said, what Mayor Young said, despite what the Justice Department is saying here, they will continue to push for reforms to address the issues, to make the necessary changes that will keep all of Memphians safe and secure.
Yes. Let's turn now to our Leah Williams, who is live outside in downtown Memphis. She was inside of the room where that press conference was, and she will have an update for us in just a few minutes, but also today at 11 as well, because there is just so much to unpack here. Leah, tell us from your end, what stood out to you?
Yeah, Yvonne, some of those practices that really stood out to me were those examples that she cited of use of force and those discriminatory practices that she said even disproportionately affected Black children. She even cited an example.
All right, it looks like we're having just some connectivity issues with Leah, and it's live TV. Sometimes that happens. We'll check back in with her in just a moment as soon as we can get her and get that shot stable. But still, a lot to unpack here. Another big question for you, Otis. You've been covering, of course, a lot of Memphis and the Mid-South for many, many decades as a trusted journalist in this community.
Appreciate that.
From what you can see and from what you know with your contacts and the people that you talk to daily on the street, what are people saying about policing in Memphis and what they want to see?
Well, I get a mixed view here. There obviously are a lot of people, including those who showed up at the public meetings that the Justice Department had, who say emphatically that yes, the Memphis Police Department mistreats some people. The traffic stops sometimes can get out of hand. But there are also some people who would say the police department has made great strides over the last many, many years to do better in its policing. So you get a mixed view here. I think one of the keys here in this investigation, in this report, that's different from previous investigations going all the way back to the 70s, is that now we have body-worn cameras. We have stationary camera. We didn't have any of that back in the 1980s and 70s when the police department was under investigation. So the Justice Department and the local Memphis Police Department have more tools now to make sure that policing is done well because the camera eyes are on them at all times.
That's true. We have heard now from the DOJ, and we are still waiting in the wings to hear now from the city of Memphis. This is a live look at City Hall right now. You can see the podium is set, the mics are up, and we are ready in just a few moments to hear from leaders from the city of Memphis in response to the 17-month-long pattern or practice investigation into the Memphis Police Department that was just released by the Department of Justice yesterday. For those of you who are just joining us as we reach the top of the 10 o'clock hour, we're glad that you're here, and we're glad to help you understand exactly where we are and what we've learned so far from the Department of Justice. Let's do a big reset. And I want to give you the highlights that we heard from our leaders, Kristen Clark, Assistant Attorney General, and also Reagan Fondren, Acting U.S. Attorney General. What we've been told is that the city of Memphis has been very cooperative with this investigation. They've been following the facts, the DOJ, and they have put together a comprehensive report and investigation. What they found was quite disturbing to many of us to hear. They have found that MPD conducts unlawful search and stops within the city of Memphis. They're also very concerned to hear and see Memphis police and their interaction with children. Let's go now to a soundbite from that press conference from Kristen Clark.
Based on a comprehensive investigation of the city of Memphis and the Memphis Police Department, the Justice Department has found a pattern or practice of conduct that violates people's civil and constitutional rights.
They also laid out several different things that they believe must stop when it comes to policing here in Memphis. Number one, Otis, it was that Memphis police must stop using excessive force.
Right. Yeah, and that's been a long-standing issue in this community. Again, I go all the way back to the 70s here, and it was a lot worse back then. I mean, there was a belief that if you ever got stopped by the police back in the 70s, you better protect your head. because they would use those batons. And we had a hospital back then called the John Gaston Hospital, and there was a joke running around the police department that said, "You don't want to get a John Gaston turban," which basically meant they would beat you on the head so badly that you'd have to put a wrap around your head before they take you to the city hospital. That used to be the case. I don't think that's the case now, but we still have, according to this Justice Department report, too many instances where they, instead of de-escalating encounters, they are escalating them, especially with people who are deemed to be have some mental issues, that they may be homeless people. There was a statement by the Assistant Attorney General, Ms. Clark, who talked about a guy in front of a dollar store, and he got roughed up. Those are the kind of things that they're talking about here, and those are the things that the Justice Department says must end, and the police department really do need to address those.
Yeah, that was number one on their list. Number two was that Memphis police must stop unlawful stop, searches, and arrest. Number three, MPD must stop policies that have disproportionate effects on Black people. And last but not least, they said the city and MPD must stop discriminating against people with disabilities.
Absolutely.
Big, major talking points for all of us in the community. And they said we all have stake in this.
Oh,
that
yeah.
community members and police have to work together to make these systemic changes.
And that's what the Justice Department did in this investigation. They talked to a lot of people. Assistant Attorney General Clark talked about them. They talked to regular citizens. They talked to community groups. They talked to members of the police department. They did ride-alongs. And so they did a pretty thorough investigation here. And so I think their findings need to be taken very seriously by everyone. Again, I understand why the local police department and the city of Memphis mayor is not entering or even agreeing to some consent decree right now, because there's really no consent decree to be had. This is just a report. You respond to the report. You decide how you're going to make changes as a result of it. If this results in a lawsuit, an injunctive lawsuit in federal court, that's where any discussion about a consent decree would come up then.
All right. Still a lot of moving pieces in this, and still a lot left to go in that investigation and the other cases that we have going on here in Memphis as well.
No question.
I do want to mention this. They were highlighting specific changes that MPD has already made when it came to the Tyree Nichols death investigation and firing of officers there, releasing hours of video, and their cooperative effort with Memphis Mayor Paul Young. Hearing that from the DOJ, how did that make you feel?
Well, I mean, it did show me that the Justice Department is not just totally piling on the city of Memphis here. They are saying that some changes have been made, and we knew about those. Chief Davis got rid of the Scorpion unit, for example, and you know they have talked internally about not having these specialized units just sort of run roughshod over the community. But the one thing, again, that stuck out to me that we may not have talked about enough here is the police department has to do a better job of supervision and training. They talked a lot about that in that press conference. And I do believe that the lack of supervision and even the lack of training may have exacerbated that encounter with Tyree Nichols and led to his death. There was just not a lot of oversight there to allow those police officers to believe that they can do what they did. And also, again, we're talking about discriminatory practices with African Americans. That's something that needs to be addressed too, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.